Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different, actually. We're taking a fascinating and, let's be honest, emotionally pretty heavy shortcut into a very personal piece of writing.
That's right. We're not digging into, market trends or scientific papers this time.
No, instead, we're doing a deep analysis of a piece of creative writing. It's a song, maybe a poem, called Pain of Loneliness.
And this is a really profound piece. It was written by the author, Sharbell, almost exactly 25 years ago, July 30th, 1999. He was remarkably just 19 years old at the time.
19, wow.
Yeah. And what we have here isn't just verse. It feels like a compressed psychological narrative. It really charts this journey from, absolute innocence to total annihilation.
So our mission here really is to approach this text not just as, something interesting someone wrote, but more like an emotional map, a dense one.
Exactly. We want to decode the imagery, which is incredibly intense, trace the themes, and just try to understand the kind of existential landscape a 19-year-old was navigating when he put these words down.
And right at the start, we need to acknowledge something really important about how we're looking at this.
Absolutely crucial. Sharbell is not a native English speaker. And knowing that changes how we read it, doesn't it?
It has to.
Yeah.
We're focusing entirely on the intention, the raw emotion, the meaning behind the words.
Right. If there are phrases that seem a bit unconventional linguistically, we need to see those as potentially adding to the rawness, the immediacy, not as flaws to critique.
Yeah, the focus is the depth of feeling. That's what gives this piece its power. And honestly, it often cuts right through any minor language things.
That depth is exactly what we're digging for. This poem, which you mentioned, is one of many songs Sharbell wrote. It just throws you immediately into this world, a world almost designed for tragedy, it feels like.
It really does. It starts in this place of almost painful purity and light.
Okay, so the opening. It immediately takes us somewhere.
Yeah.
Stanza 1. In a village near the risen sun.
Straight away, that's not just a village in the east, is it?
Mm.
It's got this weight.
Exactly. It's almost mythological, Edenic maybe. The risen sun connects it to beginnings, Genesis, maybe this inherent optimism. But it also feels fragile, like it depends on that light lasting forever. It's a very idealized starting point.
And inside this perfect light-filled place, the poem zooms right in on the absolute core relationship. Lived a mother and her lovely son.
And then the next line defines it completely. Two souls were forever as one.
That specific phrase, forever as one. That feels like the anchor for the whole thing, doesn't it? It's saying this is the highest possible state of unity, of stability.
It is, which of course makes its destruction the ultimate tragedy. It establishes this perfect bond.
A bond that feels absolute, but given the title Pain of Loneliness, you immediately sense its vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. And this idyllic feeling, it's pushed even further in the third stanza. You get the child's perspective. Pure, simple joy.
Mother, look, it's a lovely day. He's just taking it all in.
Yeah, the birds singing, the flowers along the path. His plan. I'll go to the lake and play with the fishes today. It's just this picture of complete harmony. Nature is benevolent, a source of joy and connection.
And setting up that level of perfection, that absolute innocence, it's crucial for what comes next, isn't it? If it was just an ordinary day in an ordinary village, the fall wouldn't hit so hard.
You're right. To really feel the weight of the pain of loneliness later, we have to see this impossible perfection of being forever as one first. It's like the narrative is designed to inflict maximum emotional damage.
It reminds me a bit of classical tragedy, this peak of perfection, maybe even hubris, right before the inevitable crash.
That's a great way to put it. And the crash is immediate, violent. It starts right in stanza 4.
This is where it flips. Light to dark, hope to catastrophe.
Yeah.
The shift from day to night isn't peaceful at all. At the end of a day, the sky turned gray. Okay, simple enough, but then...
The nature itself seems to turn hostile. The rain began falling, the flood drowned the way.
Drowned the way. That's key. It's not just rain, it's destructive. It obliterates the path, the structure.
Exactly. The very infrastructure of this idyllic world is suddenly compromised. It foreshadows that life itself is under attack, first by nature.
And that closing line of the stanza.
Wow.
The light of the sun became the night's prey.
It's brutal. The source of life, that risen sun, isn't just fading, it's being actively hunted, consumed by darkness. It signals total dominance by chaos. The promise of the morning is completely inverted.
Utterly gone. And this sudden natural disaster, it immediately sparks fear in the child, in stanza 5. But what's really striking is what he fears first.
Yes. His first thought isn't for himself, is it?
No, it's relational. His internal monologue is, he said to himself, my mother might be worried. Even with the flood rising and darkness falling, the bond is still the driving force.
That connection is paramount. He knows he's in danger of the flood, the dark red. But the text explicitly says he makes a choice. Darkness filled the way, my fears I must bury.
Burying his fears, that feels like a very conscious, almost adult decision for a child to make. Suppressing self-preservation for the sake of the relationship.
It shows incredible focus, doesn't it? Resolve, even in the middle of terror.
And then we get that line that really shows how emotion can power through language, regardless of perfect grammar. I'll run so fast, though my legs can barely me carry.
Ah, yes. That phrasing, barely me carry. It might be unconventional, but it hits so hard, doesn't it? You feel the physical struggle, the desperation.
Totally. It conveys this frantic exhaustion, pushing past limits, driven purely by love and worry. You can picture him stumbling through the mud, the chaos.
Just fueled by adrenaline and sheer will. He's running toward his anchor, his stability, his mother.
But tragically, as we know from the title and the tone shift, he's running straight into the real horror.
And that arrival, the end of his desperate run, it's in stanza 6. At last, the poor child had arrived. That at last suggests the struggle it took him to get there.
But any sense of relief, maybe seeing his home, is just obliterated instantly by what he finds.
Instantly. No comfort, just invasion. And the figures he sees are so symbolic. From a distance, horsemen on dark horses he spied.
Dark horses. It sounds almost medieval archetypal, not like a modern conflict.
Exactly. It suggests something ancient, overwhelming, fast, dark, imposing, the complete opposite of the quiet village life we saw earlier. Organized, purposeful destruction.
And their purpose is made chillingly clear. They're spreading fire everywhere, but it's the reason that's terrifying. They're doing it in the name of evil.
That capitalization, evil with a capital E. We have to pause there, right? This isn't just criminals or soldiers following orders.
No, it elevates the whole thing. It makes it almost a metaphysical conflict, like a pure destructive principle has been unleashed.
It's a fascinating choice by the author, not defining the enemy by nationality or politics, but just evil. It suggests the destruction isn't random, it's fundamental. It turns this personal tragedy into a confrontation with something absolute.
And seeing this, seeing the fire, the horsemen, hearing that cry, the realization for the child is immediate and final. Then he knew his mother had surely died.
No ambiguity. No hope of finding her hiding somewhere. Just gone.
Yeah.
The sight itself confirms the total severing of that forever as one bond. His entire world shattered in that instant.
The psychological fallout comes immediately in the next stanza, number 7. And it starts with this incredible contradiction.
Silence of fear, silence of cries. How can silence be full of cries?
It's such a powerful way to describe shock, isn't it? Trauma-induced dissociation, like the mind is so overloaded it just shuts down sound. Or maybe the horror is over and it's the silence after the cries, or he's just so paralyzed internally.
It creates this immediate internal void, and that void, that silence, is instantly filled with a different kind of violence.
His soul was burning before his eyes.
Wow. The external fire destroying the village now has an internal counterpart. The pain isn't just observed, it's consuming him from the inside out. An internal inferno.
And faced with all of this, the sight, the realization, the internal burning, his reaction is completely primal, isn't it?
Utterly. So he hid behind a rock and shut his eyes. Physical hiding, emotional shutting down. It's the only coping mechanism left when reality is that overwhelming and unbearable, trying to erase it all.
He literally tries to make it go away by not seeing it.
But the night passes, and stanza 8 makes it clear that morning brings no relief. The trauma lingers. Early in the morning, the fire was still burning.
The destruction isn't over. It's a constant, present reality, and the landscape confirms it.
And ashes were spread on the ground. Total, irreversible loss. Just the remnants.
But then this is the turning point, isn't it? The fire, the literal fire that destroyed his world, transforms into something else.
Yes. This is crucial. The external fire of annihilation becomes an internal fire of motivation. The fire of revenge within him was turning.
A new, terrible purpose is born from the ashes, and the poem explicitly states what it replaces.
And the sweetness of hope was no longer found. Hope, which always looks forward, is completely extinguished, replaced by vengeance, which is fueled entirely by the past, by the wound.
It's just staggering to think about a 19-year-old articulating that so clearly, that binary choice. Hope is gone, only revenge remains. What does that say about the kind of emotional pressure or nihilistic thought he might have been grappling with?
It suggests a really mature, if bleak, emotional calculus. He understands or feels that absolute loss demands an absolute response. That burning soul from the previous stanza finds its focus. The pain is channeled into purpose, a destructive purpose.
Okay, so section 3 takes us into a different phase. We move beyond the immediate shock and into the long-term consequences. Survival, but isolation. Stanza 9 starts with this time jump.
Years had passed and days had gone.
Yet the poor child lived on. Right there, we see his resilience. He physically survived whatever happened after the attack.
He endured. But that endurance leads to this absolutely crushing realization. It redefines everything. He realized on Earth he was the last one.
The last one. Let's just sit with that for a second. This isn't just losing your family or your village anymore. This is species loss.
It's the ultimate, absolute definition of loneliness, isn't it? The title, Pain of Loneliness, takes on this cosmic scale.
What does that even mean to be the last one? That's not just missing people. It's the end of history, the end of memory. No one to witness your life. No future for humanity, just finality.
Complete, utter isolation, marooned in existence. And compounding this horror is the sense that the enemy actually won, completely.
For evil, his work was done. That capitalization again, driving home that evil didn't just win a battle, it achieved its entire objective, total annihilation.
It wiped the slate clean. If evil's goal is destruction, then achieving absolute destruction means it won. There's nothing left to destroy.
Which creates this impossible situation for the child, doesn't it? The whole point of the fire of revenge is usually to confront the villain. But the villain has already succeeded and presumably left.
Exactly. What target is left for that fire? Evil has already won and exited the stage.
The poem sets up this incredible paradox in stanza 10. It restates his emotional core. Helpless stood the child, with the pain of loneliness inside.
He has the motivation that burning revenge, but no outlet, no target, no one to even see it. He's utterly helpless in his desire for action.
Which leads him to ask the absolutely critical question. He asked himself, what was the way to take revenge?
The conflict becomes entirely philosophical now, doesn't it? How do you get revenge on an absolute force that has already achieved total victory over existence itself?
He's trapped. The universe is now defined by evil's success.
Yeah.
He needs a form of revenge that operates outside normal rules.
And then, the most chilling part of the poem, perhaps. And after a while, he smiled.
That smile. In the face of that level of despair, being the last living thing, what kind of answer to, how do I get revenge, makes you smile?
It's terrifying. Does it mean he's broken? Is it madness? Or is it something else?
What do you think?
I lean towards clarity. A terrifying, nihilistic clarity. The smile isn't happiness, it's resolve. It's the moment he figures it out. He understands the true nature of his situation and finds the only move left on the board.
A move that weaponizes his own existence, his own suffering.
Precisely. He's found the answer, he's calculated the cost, and he's willing to pay it. It's a terrible kind of insight.
And the final stanza, stanza 11, just delivers that answer, bluntly.
It's the culmination of everything. The poem achieves its really stunning dark maturity right here.
The final act. Stated so simply, he killed himself. Just like that. Shocking. Uncompromising.
But it's the reason that unlocks the whole poem, just to let evil be the last on Earth.
Okay, we have to unpack this. This is a core, right? How is suicide an act of revenge? On the surface, it looks like surrender. Like evil wins again. He couldn't bear the loneliness, so he gave up.
That's the first reading, and it's understandable. It seems like the ultimate failure of that fire of revenge. But let's look deeper. Interpretation A, the anti-victory. Think about evil's goal. Total destruction, maybe ruling over an empty universe, relishing its victory. If the child stays alive, even in misery, he's still there. He's a witness. He's a testament, however broken, to evil's power. He's the last victim.
So by removing himself.
By removing himself, he denies evil that final satisfaction. He refuses to be the living proof of evil's triumph. The victory stage is suddenly empty. Evil gets the destruction it wanted, but there's no one left to suffer under it, no one left to observe its reign.
He takes control of the narrative by ending it on his own terms. The prize, the last human soul, is removed from the game. Okay, I see that. It's incredibly bleak, but it's a form of agency.
It is. Now, interpretation B, which I think connects even more strongly to the title, the purest loneliness.
Go on.
The child is suffering the pain of loneliness. It's absolute, all-consuming. He realizes this pain, this state of being utterly alone, is the only weapon he has left.
So how does he use it?
By killing himself, he ensures that evil is now truly the last one on Earth. Evil itself inherits the ultimate loneliness. So evil is left completely stranded, nothing left to destroy, nothing to corrupt, nothing to rule, just alone.
Precisely. Evil as a force arguably needs opposition, needs victims, needs suffering to define itself against. Now it's left in a silent, dead universe. The very pain of loneliness that tormented the child is now transferred permanently to the perpetrator.
That turns the child's ultimate suffering into the ultimate punishment for evil. Wow.
The victim's pain becomes the cosmic eternal sentence for the destroyer. It's not about inflicting pain back, it's about imposing the condition of absolute meaninglessness onto the force that caused it.
That makes the poem incredibly sophisticated, doesn't it? The revenge isn't just lashing out, it's structural, using the absence of life as the final weapon. Evil gets its win, but it's an empty, agonizing, perhaps eternal victory. And again, thinking about a 19-year-old exploring these ideas, themes of absolute nihilism, existential pain, this kind of paradoxical morality, it's astonishing. The structure holds up perfectly, the idyllic setup, the brutal fall, the long isolation, and then this calculated, almost philosophical act of self-erasure as a final, twisted form of justice.
And thinking back to the author context, Sharbell, non-native speaker, age 19, the sheer emotional power just bursts through, doesn't it? The images are so vivid. The burning soul, those dark horsemen, that final chilling smile, they communicate so much, regardless of perfect grammar.
The feeling is raw, immediate, universal. He managed to distill this incredibly complex process of coping with absolute world-ending trauma into just 11 short stanzas. It's remarkable.
This deep dive really shows a young writer wrestling with huge questions about meaning, about connection. If life's meaning comes from relationship, from being forever as one, then what happens when that's irrevocably severed?
His answer, in the poem, seems to be that if the world can't support that connection, then perhaps the world doesn't deserve an observer. It's a devastating conclusion, reached through what feels like a very analytical process within the narrative.
The intellectual depth wrapped in that raw emotional punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's really something. Synthesizing the fall of paradise, the nature of evil itself, and the paradoxical meaning of victory when there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Hashtag outro.
So just to kind of wrap up our deep dive into Sharbell's pain of loneliness, what we've seen is this incredibly complete emotional journey.
Yeah, from that perfect beginning, near the risen sun, the bond between mother and son,
to its brutal destruction, first by nature, then by this personified evil, then the profound isolation becoming the last one, and finally that shocking resolution.
Suicide as revenge. A calculated act where the only way to punish the destroyer is to deny it a victim and condemn it to the very loneliness it created.
The poem uses the internal state, the burning soul, the crushing loneliness as the ultimate weapon. It suggests that survival itself can be meaningless, and true justice, in this extreme case, might lie in achieving absolute absence.
It really forces you, the listener, to think about what victory even means in such an extreme context. If the child was successful in making evil the last one on earth, is that justice? Does justice sometimes require the complete erasure of life?
It's a heavy question, but here's maybe one final thought building on that.
Okay.
The child in the poem is silenced. His story ends with his act. But the author, Sharbell, didn't end there. He created this narrative. He articulated this darkness, this complex philosophical argument.
And here we are, 25 years later, analyzing it, feeling its power.
Exactly. So does the true defiance, the real counterstroke against the destructive forces in the poem, lie not in the child's final act within the story, but in the very existence of the poem itself? The creative act is the lasting resistance.
The creation endures, even when the character within it chooses erasure. That might be the final paradox of the pain of loneliness, that expressing it gives it a form of life beyond oblivion, something to definitely think about.